For Montana's only daily sports talk show, Nuanez Now. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
I like football!
Now here's your host, Coulter Nuanez.
Yo, what's up, Montana? Welcome in. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Coulter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Ton to get to today. Grizz spring game Friday night was very fun. The Masters this weekend was exceptionally fun. And the Montana State Rodeo, at least I heard, was also a big hit. So a lot of sports action considering we're supposed to be sort of in the post-basketball doldrums, but we got football to talk about, we got golf to talk about, we got rodeo to talk about, and if we can get to it, we got some recruiting on both the basketball and football fronts. If we don't get to the recruiting, we'll get to that tomorrow. But also, if you're watching on SWX Montana Television or the ESPN MT app, first time on, thanks for joining us. You can see I have a University of Montana throwback poster. I actually can't remember who gave this to us. That's probably pretty bad because it's a really cool gift. So one of our loyal listeners who's a memorabilia aficionado, I'm trying to remember who, though, they gave this to us. And it's from 1974-1975 University of Montana Rugby Club. Well, this lands on our radar today because Tucker Sargent, who is the former co-host of this show, good friend of the show, he also is the director of club sports at the University of Montana. And he sent a text today talking about how the Grizz rugby team is headed to nationals. So right before the show, Jeff Safford and I were discussing, well, what the heck do we know about rugby? Well, we can certainly, if you know how to ask right questions, you can certainly find out a ton about rugby if you don't know anything about it. But that's pretty cool. I know there's always been a rugby culture in Montana, and especially in Missoula because of the Maggot Fest and the Maggots that have been here, the club team that has existed in Missoula forever. And the Grizz have always had a cool club team as well. So it's just kind of neat that rugby is thriving. And I know you say, okay, club sports. Well, when a school doesn't offer that sport, you can still get a pretty decently or really, really, truly high level of team. Like, you look at the Grizz hockey team, it's a quote-unquote club sport. If you've got to watch this, they're drawing like 1,500 to 2,000 fans a game, and there's no coincidence to that. It's a fun event. You can drink some beer there, but the hockey is good. Like, if you are a hockey aficionado, you can watch and you can tell it's not the NHL, but it is good. Like, if you don't know that much about hockey, like me when I go, like, that's the highest level of hockey I can watch in Missoula for a cheap ticket, you know what I mean? Same deal with some of these other club sports. So it's just cool that these guys are headed to nationals. So we're going to get them here in on the show this week. Short week. I think I might have mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but I've been looking forward to this all year, but I've been trying to get through everything we got to get through. But this is perfect timing with the Grizz spring game happening Friday and the Bobcat spring game not until April 24th. So this upcoming weekend, myself and about 3 dozen other gentlemen headed over to Gamble Sands in Brewster, Washington. Have a little mini golf tournament. We're going to play Thursday through Sunday and then make our way back. So been planning it for about a year. Really excited for it. And so that's what's going on. We're just going to have shows Monday through Wednesday, but this week's shows will feature some of your familiar guests like Samuel Kem, who will join us on Wednesday. We're also going to coordinate with Jason Brown, the tennis coach for the University of Montana. Grizz tennis won again this past weekend. And they'll play Montana State in a match with huge conference title ramifications this upcoming weekend. So Jason Brown and maybe a player or two from the Grizz tennis team will join us later on this week. And we have a fun ESPN roundtable for you this week as well. Andre Patterson, a University of Montana alum who then coached in the NFL for more than 2 decades. He's now back in Montana. I'm writing his biography for the Montana Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's an inductee this year. And so I called him because I wanted to set up an interview with him. And I realized, I was like, where are you in the world? He's like, well, I'm in Sacramento right now, but I'm coming back to Montana. I said, oh, you moved to Montana? He said, yeah, I moved to Montana about a year ago, built a house down in the Bitterroot Valley. So I'm like, wow, okay, well, if it's not too much trouble, let's bring you up to the studio. So that should be a fun one. Looking forward to that coming up on Wednesday at 5 p.m. for our normal slot for the ESPN Roundtable. So we'll get things started here with a couple things about the Masters, and then we'll roll into all things Montana spring game. We'll hear from Bobby Kennedy, the head coach for the Grizz, Lucas Freitas, a offensive lineman who should be a key cog to that offensive front, Ian Finch, a Missoula, Montana product, who's now somehow, some way, a fifth-year senior at wide receiver, should have an elevated role this year. And Tanner Huff, they call him the Butte Missile. He's one of several guys that have shared that nickname. But he's from Butte, America, and he's one of the anchors of the back end of the defense for the University of Montana. He's a senior as well. So we'll hear from all those folks here in hour number one. Then I have 10 Grizz that really made a big splash to me, flashed pretty hard on Friday night. Plus a whole bunch of other guys, about a dozen more guys that I noticed, that I remember distinctly watching during the action. So we'll get through all that, and we'll also talk a little Montana State Rodeo as well. Taya Yeomans, who is a volleyball player at Montana State, she picked up a gig with us for the last 4 days, just doing brief, just a couple 2-3 minute recaps of all the events at the Montana State Rodeo. Montana State's women absolutely dominant. They rolled through the weekend. They won every single event that was contested, all individual events for both rodeos, took both all-around titles, and won the team championship for both rodeos. Pretty much unprecedented, the level that Montana State's women dominated at during the spring rodeo. So we'll recap some of that here at 5:30 as well. That's what's coming up. Nuanez Now, 1029 ESPN Radio. You want to stream it? You always can. 1029ESPN.com. You can also find us on the ESPN MT app. You can also always stream us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch. And if you want to be a part of it, 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. Call it or text it. Let us know what you want us to talk about or what you think about what we're talking about. My best of the weekend, my wife was on a trip to visit some family last week. Scheduling-wise, it just didn't really work with me. Plus, when you have a 2-year-old, it's just not that easy to travel. So I said, babe, you go. We'll stay home. So I spent, I always try to spend as much time as I possibly can with my son, but I certainly got a full dose this weekend, and it was awesome. Loved hanging out with them on Saturday, played a little golf. We got some samples at Costco, did some laundry. Standard at-home weekend, but it was awesome hanging out. Watched some golf with him. Every time they'd hit it in the air, he goes, Dada, it's flying. It's flying. Talking about the ball. So that was fun, watching the Masters. And certainly I got to watch the Masters a little bit fleetingly on Saturday because mostly we were just playing and hanging and doing some chores, etc. But then Sunday my wife got home, and it was perfect timing. She got home. She was tired, so she said, I'm going to take a nap when kiddo takes a nap. I said, great, babe, sleep as long as you like. And then I sat there in peace and quiet for about 3 straight hours watching the duel down the stretch of the Masters. So that's where we start here today on Nuanez Now. Coming to you live from the Grizzly Disposal Studio. Grizzly Disposal, locally owned, veteran-owned, and the only Bears that should be in your garbage. Rory McIlroy, back-to-back. Pretty impressive. I mean, more than pretty impressive. Unbelievably impressive. Sort of just a reiteration of several things that we said on the show last week. McIlroy, I wondered, there's a real question as to, first of all, what it would take for Rory to actually repeat, and second of all, if maybe last year's breakthrough win at the Masters was exactly that, a breakthrough, something that opened up the floodgates for McIlroy. I predicted after he won that last year and he completed the career Grand Slam that it would sort of unblock, that major block that he had, right? For those that haven't followed in detail Rory McIlroy's career, he's been a pro since a young age. He's probably been on tour for 15 years, even though he's only 37. He won a whole bunch of a whole bunch of majors early, won 4 of them right away, like when he was in his early 20s. Then he did not win a single other major for 11-plus years. Well, then he kicked the door down last year at Augusta, and then people sort of projected that would lead to multiple majors last year. That didn't happen. Part of that's just because He's playing at the exact same time as Scotty Scheffler and a whole bunch of other really good players. But Rory gets it done again this year. Only the fourth player ever to win back-to-back Masters. Jack Nicklaus did it. Nick Faldo did it. Tiger Woods did it. Now Rory McIlroy has done it. That puts him in elite company. To have the career Grand Slam, now 6 majors, and back-to-back green jackets, you're in rare air now. And I think that the other part about this weekend that was so affirming is Rory did it in exactly how Rory does it, and that is he screamed out. He's not actually always a great starter, but he screamed out to a lead. And what I mean when I say he did it like Rory does it, he has 6-stroke lead after 36 holes. That's the largest in the history of the Masters. Then he basically just melted down all day on Saturday and let half a dozen guys put themselves in the mix. Then on Sunday, he enters the final round with a 1-stroke lead, but Sam Burns and Cam Young each birdie one of the first 2 holes. Rory goes 2 over on the first 2. All of a sudden, Rory slips all the way back to 9 under, but he rallied and took 3 more off of it, and he shoots a final day 73 and comes in at 12 under, a 1-stroke win over Scotty Scheffler. I mean, he even took a tap-in bogey on 18 on the 72nd hole of the tournament for Rory to actually finish it, but he did finish it. And now here we are with the real conversation of where does this put McIlroy amongst all-time golfers. I thought coming into this Masters, Rory McIlroy was flirting with being like one of the top 15 golfers of all time. And I think because he has the career Grand Slam, I think you put him really close to, if not in the top 10. I probably would have had him right at 10 or 11 before this Masters. I think this vaults Rory into the top 10 of golfers of all time. I've kept this running list going. This is just based on their resume and based on the competition they played in. Like, I fully understand that a guy like Walter Hagen, who has 11 majors, the third most in the history of golf, I fully understand that a guy like that is not going to be able to hold his own. I mean, this guy's winning all these majors between 1921 and 1936. I fully understand that Walter Hagen is probably not, I don't know, he's probably not a top 25 player right now. I also wonder if you give a guy like Walter Hagen modern technology, modern nutrition, modern training, modern clubs, modern balls, all that stuff, that he might still be right there in the mix, because he obviously had great, competitiveness and flair for the dramatic and all that sort of stuff that makes a great golfer. But this is just my top 16, just based on reading about golf, studying golf, their resumes, basically. Like the guys that are, how they did against players of their generation. I had Byron Nelson at 15. I bump him down to 16 because Rory's got to be on this list. Greg Norman, the Shark, he sits there at 15. Then you get in, and those two are pretty easy because those are like the 2 guys that aren't in the group that has just a whole bunch of majors, like 4 majors or more. The rest of these guys basically do. I got Tom Watson at 14. He's the greatest links golfer of all time. Won 8 majors, including 5 times at the Open Championship, the British Open. Sam Snead, still to this day, the most victories in the history of the tour, 82. Again, I know that Sam Snead, his game right now would not even translate. It's not even the same thing. But if a guy can win 82 times, you have to think that guy would at least be pretty good if you gave him all the new stuff that all these guys have. And if you're the all-time leader in wins, you got to be somewhere in the top 15, right? I mean, you won more tournaments in the history than anybody in the history of golf. I got Lee Trevino at 12, Seve Ballesteros at 11, and then here's where the movement comes in. I would have had Bobby Jones and Nick Faldo ahead of Rory McIlroy before this Masters win, but I think this vaults Rory into my slot at 8th. Then I think 7 through 1 is basically indisputable, except for maybe where you put Ben Hogan, and if you consider Jack Nicklaus or Tiger Woods the best golfer of all time. And I got Rory McIlroy at 8 ahead of now Nick Faldo and Bobby Jones, just because of the career Grand Slam and because of the prowess that he's playing with at this exact moment, and the fact that I think he still has an opportunity to go win more. I got Phil Mickelson ahead of Rory. They got the same number of majors now, but Phil won one when he's 50. So that is a feather in the cap for sure. one more for Rory, and he vaults, I think, even past Mickelson, but probably even past Walter Hagen. And I think Rory would then be alone in sixth if he wins one more major. He needs a little bit more work, though, to catch up to the top five. I think the top five are pretty indisputable. Again, it's just a matter of where do you put Ben Hogan. But Gary Player, I have at number 5. He's got 8 major championships. He's got the career Grand Slam. Then I got Arnold Palmer at number 4. He's got 8 major championships, and he did not have the career Grand Slam. Then I got Ben Hogan at number 3 because Ben Hogan, not only does he have the career Grand Slam, he basically, he invented the modern swing of golf. Like the Ben Hogan book about the swing. I mean, I'm sure you've read. I mean, some of you probably at least have read it. If you haven't, you should read it. It's a great read. It's very helpful too. It's very instructional. I mean, Ben Hogan though is widely considered the guy with the sweetest swing ever. He had 69 wins on tour. He won 7 majors, the career Grand Slam. I just notch him just a couple notches above Gary Player and Arnold Palmer because of the influence he had on the game, the prowess of the swing, the total number of wins, and the way that the name has lingered for so long. And then your top 2. Jack Nicklaus has the greatest resume in golf history, 18 majors. Tiger Woods is the most talented golfer in golf history. I still put Jack ahead of Tiger, even though I hope this makes sense. I think Tiger Woods is the most transcendently talented athlete that's ever competed in sport on this earth. I think he's the greatest individual athlete that has ever lived in terms of what his peak of his performance level is. Tiger at his best could beat anybody in the history of the game, and he could beat them thoroughly and handedly. But you have to give Jack the GOAT because he's got 3 more majors. The proof's in the pudding. He's got 5 green jackets. He won a green jacket when he was 46 years old, which, by the way, how about Justin Rose? He was one of the guys that was in the mix with Rory McIlroy, and Rose was 45, so he would have been the oldest major championship winner in 40 years. When Jack Nicklaus did that way back in 1986, that was 40 years ago. And so the fact that Jack Nicklaus did it for so long, over so many years, you can't put anybody above him, even if Tiger is more talented. Like Jack Nicklaus is just significantly, he's a better golfer though. I mean, and the breadth of it is what's so crazy, right? He won the Masters for the first time in 1963 and for the last time in 1986. That's incredible. That's what Rory McIlroy has in front of him right now because he started winning them so early when he was so young. And Rory is small. That helps you in terms of staying healthy, et cetera, et cetera. So I think Rory has a chance to stack some trophies here, some more majors, no doubt. You can fight with me all you want. Again, I think Tiger Woods is the most talented and dominant athlete when he's at his peak. But if you're talking about who had the greatest golf career, it's Jack Nicklaus. And it can't be otherwise until someone puts together what Jack did. I mean, his 73 wins are the 3rd most all-time. He also won on the European Tour 9 times, on the Australian Tour 3 times. I didn't know that. That's why I giggled. And he also won 10 PGA Champions Tour events. That's on the Senior Tour. That's an incredible number of golf events, right? There wasn't a Senior Tour when Sam Steed won 82. But if you give Jack his 10 Senior Tour wins as well, he's got 83 wins plus the Euro wins. But then you talk about the fact that he won. I misquoted myself there. I said the 5 green jackets. He's got 6 green jackets, Jack Nicklaus does, between 1963 and 1986. Won the PGA Championship 5 times. Won the U.S. Open 4 times. And won the British Open 3 times. That's how you get to 18. And pretty crazy, pretty cool that Jack Nicklaus is still with us and that he still hits hits out one of the first drives at the Masters every single year. One of the most mad I've ever been. I was a young sports reporter working at the Bozeman Chronicle, and my very first year in Bozeman, one of my first assignments was to cover this cool event. There's this organization called Warriors and Wounded Warriors and Water. It's an organization that takes wounded warriors fly fishing in and around the Bozeman area. And they would always host a huge fundraiser golf tournament out at Riverside Country Club in Bozeman. And they'd always bring in a big-time PGA golfer. Well, my first summer there, they brought in Johnny Miller, who former U.S. Open champion, who was a phenomenal player, great golfer, right? And I got to interview him, and it was awesome. The following summer, they brought in Jack Nicklaus, and I thought I was going to get to go. I get assigned the story, and then my sports editor says, "No, I really want to meet Jack. I'm going to take this one. You got to stay in and do the desk tonight." And I was devastated. I was only like 24 or 25 years old, and I was devastated. But could have met Jack Nicklaus. Didn't get a chance to meet Jack Nicklaus. He's certainly, though, the best. The resume is the best of any of the guys remaining. Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio. If you didn't see the video, last point about Jack Nicklaus, if you didn't see the video from the 1975 Masters that was circulating around on social media, you got to find it, you got to look it up. On hole 15, which is the iconic par 5 at Augusta National, Jack's sitting about 260 out in the fairway, but he's going to have to hit basically like a draw, like a 255-yard carry draw into the green if he wants to get on in two. And he takes out a 1-iron, which compared to today's clubs looks like a mini hatchet or like a butter knife or something. And he smokes this thing like 15 feet from the pin, rolls in the eagle putt. Rest is history. You got to find the video. It's unreal. The level of precision is just crazy. Well, it's now 102.9 ESPN Radio. All right, let's talk some football. I know that's what you guys are here for. Grizz spring game, I was honestly very impressed. I went in thinking that it might be pretty clunky or there might even be a waste of time. But they did a couple things completely different than what we've been used to under Bobby Hauck and his coaching staff did during these spring games. And here's the big difference that I noticed, which made my viewing pleasure of this significantly more entertaining and valuable. The last however many, a handful at least of spring games at Montana, they rotated the offensive and defensive lines incessantly and also never had full units together. Friday, you basically had like two offensive line units. And it wasn't necessarily ones and twos, but it looks sort of like ones and twos. But basically, there's your top 10. And those guys played for the vast majority of the game. Then they made some subs late to maybe get a couple more guys reps. But you basically got to have eyes on the top 10 offensive linemen that the Grizz have on their roster. You also got to see them basically go against the top tier of the defensive front as well. There were certainly a couple guys that were out, but by and large, you got to see a lot of exchange. The other thing that's just tremendously different, and I've had this theory for a long time, but it was really affirming for me to see, is that the Grizz have run this completely funky voodoo defense the last 8 years, this 3-3-5. It's complicated. It's complex. I mean, I really, really study film. I watch all these games 2 or 3 times every single week. Also going to them, and this is half of the challenge of this job is studying the film so you understand what you're watching. It took me a long time to figure out what the Grizz were doing on defense when they first started doing it. Then once he's figured out, it's still totally chaotic. That's fine. It's very confusing for an offense. My theory has been, though, because especially in these situations like the spring game, you got the Grizz offense versus the Grizz defense. Like the scheme, you're having the Grizz offensive scheme versus the Grizz defensive scheme. I know a lot of times in practice, especially during the season, they are going scout teams. So the Grizz offense is going against what Portland State runs on defense or what Idaho State runs on defense. I understand that. So often in these spring games, though, it's the Grizz offense, what they run conceptually on offense versus this 3-3-5 defense. It makes it so hard to evaluate the line play because you don't know who's supposed to be doing what. You don't know where they're supposed to be going. You don't know what gauges success. Is this offensive lineman just flailing and blocking no one? Or is this stunt something that they've never seen before and that they'll never see again, something that only the Grizz run? That's the part that's that was so frustrating and hard to evaluate about how Montana used to operate. What I saw on Friday was basically the defense playing a lot of base, not keeping a lot of the stuff under the hat, which is fine during a spring game. But you saw a real exchange between the offensive and defensive lines. The offensive line was firing off the ball. The defensive line was firing off the ball. We're so used to in these spring game situations, again, because the defense that the Grizz were running was so chaotic. This guy's going here, this guy's going there, this guy's twisting here, this guy's blitzing there. You don't know what the offensive line just did. Did they do well? Did they not do well? Did they pick this up correctly? But does it even matter? Because they're never going to see this defense again. So, how does the offense make progress when they're going against a defense that's completely foreign, except for what their team runs, right? It's greatest strength, greatest weakness. Like, the defense is confusing for the opposition, but you don't want it to be confusing to the team you're going against, but how else do you have a competitive scenario like they needed to have? That's where it got so funky, and I think that has had an impact on the development of the offensive line and the quarterback position at Montana. I thought on Friday you saw a scenario where both sides of the ball were running pretty vanilla-based stuff. That's fine. But you actually got to see, are guys playing fundamentally? Are they playing with pad level? Are they playing with leverage? Are they playing with their hands? Are they getting off the ball? Are their feet right? Is their punch on their offensive line blocking techniques? Are those correct? It's way back. It's back to being way more fundamental football, way more traditionally fundamental football is what I would say. Certainly left the field impressed. Knew it would be a little bit of a slog because Kaylee Ayat was out, the stud quarterback. Luke Flowers, the number 2 quarterback, was out. Brady Jay, who's coming in from Moses Lake, Washington, highly recruited quarterback from Central Washington. He is probably expected to be the third-string guy for the Grizz. And I think that all the quarterbacks that were playing, Drew Price, Cody Schweikert, Gage Slider, I think those guys were all playing for either the third or the fourth quarterback spot, right? Like, I think they'll probably make Jay the third quarterback, but try to keep his red shirt. And if they got down to it, they'd probably have the fourth guy ready to be the starter if that became the deal. But they'll probably keep Jay up, so to speak, as the third guy to then accelerate his development. Either way, I thought that the 3 quarterbacks were fine, but you expect there to be some ups and downs because you don't have your 2 best, maybe even your 3 best quarterbacks playing in the spring game. So that's clearly a part that impacted everything. It's also very clear where Montana needs to find something. They're still thin on the defensive front, especially on the defensive tackle spot. They either have to have some guys come of age and progress, or they have to find some or both at corner. But other than that, I thought it was great energy, great attitude. I thought it was pretty clean operationally. I thought the coaches seemed engaged. All in all, I went Friday thinking, man, I hope this isn't a waste of time. This is going to be sort of a slog. There's no Ayat. There's no Gilman. What are we doing? And then I saw actually like a pretty spirited, healthy exchange that I thought was pretty impressive. And I left the field thinking, wow, first of all, that was fun. It's been a little while since I said that about any sort of Grizz offseason stuff. Thought, wow, that was pretty fun. And wow, I left pleasantly surprised. Bobby Kennedy, plenty of nice things to say following his team's spring scrimmage on Friday.
All right, Coach, fun spring game. Your initial thoughts coming off the field with the team?
Yeah, just number one, really pleased that we stayed healthy, right? But there was some good hitting out there. I thought, both sides were physical. Still have to do some things in the offense and defensive line. Those guys still need to be bolstered a little bit, but I was really happy with how it turned out tonight.
When you are a little bit shorthanded at quarterback, how much of an opportunity is that for some of the other guys to step up, and what did you think of the young quarterback play?
Yeah, it's really good, right? They needed reps because a lot of times those guys don't get those reps. And so for them to step in the action, they did some good things. We missed some too. But you know what? That's a part of growing. And so it's good that those guys got reps this spring, and we just got to keep bringing them along.
You just had a lot of running backs who made plays throughout the game. How are you feeling about the depth in that room coming out of spring?
Much better. I mean, obviously it's going to be great when we get Eli back, right? But really like Hashim. Monty did a great job tonight. Finn, Pine. I mean, I feel really good going into the season about that position. We still have to be a little bit better with pass protection and stepping up and fitting guys, but I really like our ability to run the ball.
It's the first time putting this new defense out in front of fans. Just what did you make of that unit today?
Yeah, so I've seen the progress as spring has gone on, so I'm really pleased with the defense. You know, we've been emphasizing that, you know, we got to keep getting bigger up front, and we're gonna do everything we can in recruiting to get those bigger guys. But I was really pleased. Like, I mean, Miles Goodman, I mean, like Styles Goodman, I mean, he's flashed. I mean, there's been some really good progress by the entire defense. I still think our DBs, you know, sometimes we're reaching and grabbing rather than playing through the ball, or when a guy's going by, you know, we got to recover a little better. But it's a work in progress. You know, it's spring. That's why we have these 15 practices.
As you mentioned, it is a work in progress. A lot of new faces, but a lot of guys who played on the 2 deep last year. Just what do you think of some of those guys maybe stepping up into bigger roles and some of the transfers fitting into?
Yeah, so, well, we talk about it all the time. I mean, we talk about in our team meetings all the time that who are the older guys and the guys that have played and been in this program, who are they bringing with them, right? And so I feel really good about the guys that we brought in the portal and things, but still, right, there's a lot of growth. Like we have growth that needs to happen from now, and then our OTAs and our weight room, and like now's a great time to keep pushing and getting better.
A 10,000-foot view, just your thoughts on spring ball and just kind of what you guys accomplished and what stands out the most now that things are wrapped up here.
Well, what stands out is I'm standing in back blowing a whistle a lot more than being, you know, involved in the group, and it's kind of fun to work with different groups and to have a different perspective and to put my 2 cents in. And I just think if there's one thing I'm really pleased about, I can't remember a day that I said, God, we're just slogging around. You know, I thought the guys came with a great attitude every day. They were moving fast. I thought we did a really good job when we went thud, of butting guys up, but then when we went tackle, I see the progress in terms of, I think Eric Sanders and the defensive staff is doing a great job with technique things, and now we just have to put it all together. The front, the linebackers, and now the secondary. But I'm really pleased with the defense this far.
From your perception going into spring about some of the position groups, what was maybe a position group that kind of stood out or pleasantly surprised you as you got to look at them closer?
You know, I really think the offensive line started fast in spring, but then as we added more and more, you know, you could see them thinking. So I'm pleased with those guys because we have a lot of young guys playing up front. I'm also pleased with the running backs. I think we have great linebackers here. Obviously, everybody knows about Peyton Lang and all that stuff, but there's other guys that have made plays in practice and have showed to be pretty consistent. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about depth at safety, and so. You know, we're not a finished product. It's not add water, instant player, right? I mean, we've got to keep working. We've got to continue to push these guys to get better.
You mentioned the offensive line. Lucas Freitas was rotating back and forth, a lot of reps for him.
Yeah.
He's one of the most veteran guys on that unit. How much do you expect to lean on him to sort of solidify that front?
A whole lot. I mean, like, he's a good leader. We need him to step up and be a great leader. And because he's got to kind of take that, you know, that crew, you know, by the horns and keep pulling them in the right direction.
Styles Goodman, you mentioned, stood out too. I noticed that as well. What do you like about him maybe playing a little bit off the edge?
Well, I just love his speed and his athleticism, right? Like he gives us that guy outside that can rush the passer, but he's also fast enough to recover and chase people down. So really excited about him.
Tight ends caught a handful of passes, so how do you feel about the versatility of that group to be pass catchers and also blockers? Yeah,
so really good. I do think we need to continue to make progress blocking, okay, because obviously we lost some good guys last year. Like Danny Sermon needs to step up and kind of be a dominant guy in that role. But I like the guys that we brought in. But you know, like Reese, right? I mean, Reese is a guy, you saw him catch a couple passes tonight, and you can see his athletic ability. Now can he do it when it's gritty in line? And so, you know, like I said, it's not add water, it's the player. We got to keep pushing those guys forward. The Legend Lions had that touchdown catch today. What made him someone you wanted to go after in the portal, and what has he shown you this spring? Well, number one, I mean, he's a big guy. Okay, I think he can run. I don't think he's running as well as we projected him to run because we've thrown so much at him, and he's thinking a lot. I think once he really kind of dissects the offense and learns it in and out, I think his athletic ability is going to take over. But, I mean, you saw that catch and the way he adjusted the ball and he went up and got it. I mean, he's a really good athlete. he's still young. Okay, he's very young mentally, but I've seen growth, but we expect good things out of him.
Finn Ridgway, a guy that he changed positions, but I mean, he made a bunch of plays today.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I love Finn, and I know this. He's been a really good special teams player for us, okay? And then he's only been at running back a week, and you've seen him flash a couple times. I kind of think that he can do some stuff like Michael Wortham did. I mean, I really believe that. And I'm not saying he's Michael Wortham, okay? I'm not saying that, but I think he's a tough kid. He works his butt off, and he's one of the guys I'm talking about that you ask him to do something, and he is all in, all grizz all the time. And so, fires me up.
When you have young guys like that, like him and like Styles, that are making plays out here, how much can you capitalize on that and sort of carry that into the offseason, bring some momentum into next fall?
Well, what you can do is you can show them the success that they're having, right? And hopefully that gives them more confidence to continue to get better and to work hard. And so, yeah, I'm really excited about those guys, you know, really helping us. And Legend should be a guy too, not only a wide receiver, he should be a 2 or 3-phase special teams guy because of his body and the way he runs.
Speaking of special teams, how about Joe Silver and a couple of kicks he made?
He was nailing it, right? And really happy with him. I mean, really happy with him. Now, when there's, 28,000 people in Washington Grizzly Stadium, let's see if we're going to do it every time. But I have been really happy with his consistency this spring, and he's shown that he can hit a pretty good long kick.
Hi-ho, Joe Silver. I don't know why we nicknamed him that, but it's a great nickname. Joe Silver was nails, man. He boomed a 49-yarder. He boomed a 53-yarder. Overall, really impressive. And, I mean, I think he's got to be the answer at kicker for the Grizz, which would be a cool story with him going into his senior year. Well, it's now tonight, ESPN Radio. We'll keep on talking Grizz spring game on the other side. Don't judge that down. Keep it right here.
DeMorris Buick GMC is ready to help you safely travel Montana's scenic roads in comfort and style. Stop by DeMorris today and test drive some outstanding SUVs. Right now, take advantage of closeout pricing on the uniquely designed and well-equipped 2024 Buick Encore GX with models starting at $28,895. Don't miss this opportunity. Go to DeMorris.com to preview our inventory of 2024 Buick Encores and then pay a visit to DeMorris Buick GMC on West Broadway in Missoula, your family-owned hometown dealership for over 60 years.
It's easy to see why Montana is the treasure state. At the University of Montana, we look inside. We see an old truth with fresh eyes, that Montana's greatest treasure is its people. So whatever tomorrow brings, we meet it the only way we know how. with a mind for making. Because what's made in Montana is remaking the world.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
The transfer portal kept churning over the last week, particularly in women's hoops. I'm Jeff Safford. Over the weekend, Braden Gunlock declared she will transfer to the Montana State Bobcats. The 6-foot wing from Big Fork spent last season as a sparingly used freshman at BYU. She averaged 1.5 points a game for the 26-win Cougars. During her standout high school career, Gunlock led the Valkyries to the Class B state championship as a junior in 2023, earning state tournament MVP honors along the way. As a senior, she helped Big Fork transition to Class A, leading the team to a runner-up finish at the state tournament. She averaged 18 points and 10 boards per game her senior year, helping her earn numerous D1 offers. Paige Lofing, another of the top basketball players from Montana, entered the transfer portal last week. The Huntley Project grad spent last season as a freshman at Gonzaga. The 5'9" point guard averaged 2.2 points per game. During her prolific high school career, she averaged more than 25 points per game 2 years in a row, leading Huntley Project to its first ever girls state basketball title in 2025. Drea Wacker, a Melstone product who played in 19 minutes a game last season for the Lady Grizz, is staying in the Big Sky. She declared she is transferring to Weber State. She averaged 4.9 points and 3.2 rebounds per game last season.
It's Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
Welcome back. 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN Empty app. Colter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Much has been made about the Grizz offensive and defensive lines over the last however many years. I would be lying, and that'd be disingenuous of me to say I wasn't one of the ones leading that charge, certainly. I mean, I watched the game of football through the lines, and I think that the fronts for the Grizz have left something to be desired more often than not for a really long time, honestly. And it's pretty wild because that was such a huge strength of Montana's all through the 90s and all through the 2000s. There's so many different exhaustive theories and circumstances and all that have gone into the decline, especially of the offensive line for the Grizz football team. But I wonder if part of it has been coaching and scheme. I don't wonder. I'm pretty sure it has. And I don't really know about the talent evaluation of the current offensive lineman for the Grizz. And I also don't know about the talent evaluation of the current defensive lineman for the Grizz. But what I saw on Friday was an offensive line that, first of all, had some continuity because they were playing in units, which is my preferred way to operate. The one guy that was a swing guy was Lucas Freitas, who I expect to be a big contributor this upcoming year. He was going back and forth between the maroon team and the white team, so he's playing guard on both sides. Left guard, that is, specifically. And I thought the offensive line, again, I need to know a little bit more about the talent because I thought that the defensive line they were going against was certainly shorthanded. Braden Bailey, who's expected to be one of the top candidates to be a defensive tackle starter, was out. Hayden Hanks, transfer from Boise State, defensive tackle, was out. A couple of the Cooper Buffington, who's like a 252-pound redshirt freshman, was playing some D-tackle. Spencer Tripp, who's a 5'11", 265-pound freshman walk-on. He was playing a ton of D-tackle in the scrimmage. So how are you evaluating the Grizz offensive line against guys like that? I'm not sure. But what I did see was units that were getting off the ball a lot more quickly. I saw a lot more, and quickly is the wrong word, more efficiently, with more certainty, with more aggression, with more just juice, right? they just looked a lot more aggressive as an offensive line unit, which is what I want to see, especially in I think the best type of offensive identity you can have in the state of Montana is very similar to what Montana State has, where you can run the ball at anybody. You can run the ball in cold weather games, but then you can also score a whole bunch of points because you can be explosive on the perimeter. But it always is going to start up front, regardless of which form of offense you're going to run, right? That's what's crazy, too. The 90s Grizz had great offensive lines, hardly ever running the ball. Just a bunch of great athletes who were great at pass protection, kept the quarterbacks like Dave Dickinson and Brian Ayak clean. 2000s, Joe Glenn and Bobby Houck both prioritized a lot more of a ground and pound style, and he had some road graders, but great offensive linemen for a long time. As I said off the top, I think part of the challenge for developing offensive line has been they've been going against, not all the time. I know they go against scout teams and they go against teams that give them looks of the opponent or whatever. But a lot of times in the offseason, especially during like spring ball, you're going against your own defense, right? You're going against the scheme that your team runs. You're each practicing your respective schemes against each other. And I just wonder how much the defensive scheme the Grizz were running was impeding the offensive line development these last several years. A theory that still needs affirmation. But certainly, I thought, all things considered, the offensive line looked good. The Maroon team's offensive line included Austin Beeler, who's a Helena Capital product, at right tackle, Dylan Drummond, who's a UNLV transfer, at right guard, Matt Hilden at center, Lucas Freitas at left guard, and Quinn Hyatt at left tackle. I would consider that the number one unit, but I do think that left tackle spot is one where you can see several different faces. But I think that Beeler, Freitas, Drummond are all for sure front runners to be starters. And then I think that probably one of the tackle spots and the center spot is probably up for grabs. I think that Matt Hilden and Kaikoa Kanaka-Ole are both in the mix for that center spot. Kanaka-Ole was the white team center. And then I think Quinn Hyatt, I think Beeler probably will work a little bit on both sides, but probably better suited for right tackle. But I think Quinn Hyatt, who was basically the number one, the Maroon team left tackle, Carter Bowen, who was a big transfer, JC transfer that they brought in last year, who then got hurt during fall camp. I think he'll be in the mix at one of those tackle spots. I did not get any ID on Campbell Van Diver. He's the 6'8", 285-pound transfer they brought in from South Carolina. So I don't know if that meant he was not going to break the two deep or what. Trevor Steinbach, who's a 6'5", 300-pounder, he was sidelined. I did not get eyes on Torin Jeske. There was some thoughts that he had maybe been one of the top guys working in with the ones and the twos during earlier part of spring. Did not see him on Friday, but I think that Carter Bowen, Quinn Hyatt, probably Jeske will be in the mix at the tackle spots. Probably Lincoln Hoffer as well. Hoffer was playing right tackle for the white team. He's number 61, if that helps you, by the way. He was playing tackle for the right tackle for the white team. Bowen was playing left tackle. Freitas again was playing left guard for both teams. Kanaka-Ole was the center for the white team, and then Ezra Meyer, walk-on out of Missoula, Big Sky, who's got a great frame. He was working in there at the other guard spot. So I think those 10, probably plus Jeske, and probably plus Dylan Jemtgaard from Cal. I did not get eyes on him either. I think those guys will probably be in the mix as your top 10. I don't know if this staff wants a top 8 or a top 10 or where they fall on that. But certainly I was pleasantly surprised. I thought the offensive line looked good. I think part of that's because of the implementation of a new veteran coach. Brent Myers has been doing this for almost 50 years. He's had, the proof of concept is vast. He's had so many good offensive lines all the way back to his days at Washington, let alone all the great offensive lines he coached at Weber State. I think Brent Myers is a great coach, and I thought the offensive line looked good. Freitas joined us just for half a minute. I asked him right before this. The question got cut off, but I asked him about switching jerseys. Back and forth. He got more reps than anybody in the entire program, I think, on Friday. I think that certainly will pay dividends because I think he's a guy that is really, really talented. So here's what he had to say following the Friday night spring game.
Oh my God, that was a hassle and a half. We had someone fly out on Thursday, so I was stepping up a little bit and taking reps for him, and we had a couple other guys subbing around too, so it was a bit hard today.
Well, we were trying to identify like who's the offensive line. We see 78, same size, same hair, over and over again. So what was it like though working with both units?
It was good. I like to work with the young guys a lot too, so I can help them out and teach them things. And I like work with the old guys because they can also teach me things. So that's really awesome.
What do you think of this opportunity that you have? Because you're one of the guys that played a little bit last year, and now kind of like one of the, I'm assuming one of the most veteran guys in the group. So how's it come together? What do you think of your opportunity you have right now? I'm super excited about the opportunity I have, and I'm really thankful for Coach BK and Coach Myers, really trusting me and wanting me to be a leader. And I'm really excited for what we have going. What differences do you notice with Coach Myers leading the group? Coach Myers is he's really patient with us, and I've had a lot of position coaches changes over my 3 years. This is going on number 4. But all the coaches who have come in have made us learn their terminology, whereas Coach Myers has learned ours, so it's easier on us.
How much chemistry and continuity do you feel you guys have been able to build as an O-line this spring?
A lot. I think we like to hang out a lot outside of the practice and stuff, go to dinners and stuff, but a lot of new guys and new things, so we're still meshing together and figuring ourselves out. Because, scrimmage during the spring, this isn't the only one, but how would you describe what was it like to get out there and have this kind of culminate the spring? It was really cool. It's nice to get things to an end, get everyone healthy and give some time off. Everyone, needs some rest and hard-earned work. But I'm excited for how much we've accomplished, and I'm really excited to see where we're going to go so far. The offseason really has been kind of frenetic, right? When you think of the coaching change and then all the offseason work you guys have to do, just how would you describe the last couple months, Lucas, and just kind of where the team's at right now? Hungry. We're hungry for this upcoming season. We want it. We're going to come back and we're going to work our asses off for the big stretch here. It looked like you were playing both sides. Is that right? Today just left, but I have gone back and forth in the past, so yeah. Do you like one side better than the other? I do like right a little bit more, but I'm going to go where they need me, wherever they tell me. What do you think are some of the key things you guys need to continue to develop in terms of coming together as a total offensive line unit? I think we need to spend more time together in the film room and, team bonding things more spending time together during the summers, whether that's floating, going out golfing or whatever, just click together. A lot of the spring games kind of for the fans, so what was it like to get out in front of some fans today? It was awesome to see everybody. We love our supporters here, and it's always super good to see them, and we're super happy they came out. What are the next few weeks and few months going to look like for you guys as players now that camp's over? We have a little bit of time off with the pads. Pads will come off. We'll still be running and lifting weights, and then summer will roll around, and we're going to really crank that up. And once that's over, back into fall camp, and you guys, I'm sure, all know how that is. Certainly. Lucas Freitas here on Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio. Fun watching the offensive line at the spring game on Friday. Nuanez Now 102.9 FM. We're still going to hear from Ian Finch and Tanner Huff, but we're going to bump those guys to hour number 2. We'll come back and we'll start getting into some of the players that really flashed to me on Friday night. And I got about 25 players that caught my eye, but certainly 10 that I thought looked really good. Probably get to one or two of those to end up hour number 1, and then we'll get into all the rest of them in hour number 2. We'll also hear from Ian Finch and Tanner Huff to lead the second hour as well. So don't change that dial. More Grizz spring game talk on the other side. It's 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Les Schwab changed the tire game more than 70 years ago. Today, we still believe you should get more from less. Like more hustle, less hassle. More of the best service around, less of the runaround. Because we include America's best tire warranty in every tire we sell. So you get more unbeatable warranty, less charging you extra. It's why we're more than proud to say, you get more from less.
What do you expect me to say to her? She's getting married in 30 minutes.
We're doing everything we can.
John, can you hear me? John.
Mountain Town Vacation Rental Management, your local partner for vacation rental success. We provide a fully customized hosting experience tailored to your needs and goals. Your home is listed on every major site, helping you maximize visibility and bookings. And our local team is available 24/7 to handle guest needs and booking inquiries. Let us take the stress out of managing your vacation home. Contact us today at mountaintownvrm.com or give us a call at 406-369-3080.
This is Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
Welcome back. 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Colter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Grizzly Disposal, locally owned, veteran-owned, and the only Bears that should be in your garbage. Want to make the switch? Call 406-541-7171. We're up against it, so we're going to do a lot of the Grizz players that stood out to me during the spring game on Friday in hour number 2. But I do want to highlight one storyline that we talked about last week when we were previewing this. There has been almost no question that the Grizz would have good to great players at kicker and at punter. Like that was the least of their worries any of the 15 seasons that Bobby Hauck was the head coach. There was some similar strengths and weaknesses between Hauck 1.0 and Hauck 2.0. One of the similar strengths was the fact that the Grizz were awesome at punter basically for the duration of the time. And 2.0 had a couple of the best punters in the entire country in Brian Buschini and Patrick Rohrbach. Ty Morrison wasn't too shabby last year either. Morrison was good to great as a punter each of the last 2 years, I thought. But last year, for the first time in a long time, the Grizz were pretty shaky at kicker. Morrison really struggled. He was Big Sky Conference Player of the Week, I think 3 times in the first twice in the first 3 weeks of the year. I'm looking at his bio right now. And then he really sort of hit the skids the second half of the year. And Bobby Hauck actually talked about it relatively openly. So Morrison finished last year 6 of 11 kicking field goals, right? He went 1 of 1 against North Dakota, 2 of 2 against Idaho, 2 of 3 against Idaho State. So he's 5 of 6 to start. then didn't kick one against Cal Poly, went 0 of 1 against Sacred Heart, 1 of 2 against Weber, missed one against Portland State, missed one against Montana State, didn't even try one for the whole rest of the year. Ended up making 1 field goal after October 4th. That's a stunning deal. Joe Silver basically replaced Morrison down the stretch, and he made all 3 of his field goals. But Bobby Houck has hardly ever talked about like kickers having issues. And he pretty openly talked about, he said Ty's just not hitting it very well. I remember I asked him specifically about not kicking a field goal. There was a situation in the game against Cal Poly, and I asked him specifically about it. He said, yeah, Ty has not been hitting it well. And then he re-emphasized that multiple times. That's all to say, I thought Joe Silver looked nails on Friday. Joe Silver absolutely smashed a 53-yarder into the south end zone, and then he drilled a 49-yarder into that same end zone as well. I think at least the kicker job has to be his. They brought in a couple transfers this spring, and if they already had 15 practices to let that all hang out, then I think he's got to have the inside track, if not be the guy. I will say the one spot I did not watch because they did not do live punts and kicks at all. There was no live special teams. So I did not see who the kickoff specialist or the punter was. So I don't know who has the inside track there, but that was one of our questions for last week, leading up to the spring game. Who the heck is the punter? Who the heck is the kicker? Well, I think we know who the kicker is. Joe Silver, former transfer from Kent State. So pretty interesting, cool storyline. More on the Grizz players that stood out to me on the other side. Our number 2 coming your way. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. It's Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Life can change in an instant. If you've been hurt in an accident, suffered from medical negligence, or are facing criminal charges, you don't have to face it alone. At Ryan Miller & Coburn, we're here to listen and fight for you. We're your neighbors, traveling across Montana to stand by your side as your link to justice. Real people, real help, right here in Montana. Ryan Miller & Coburn, your Montana attorneys.
DeMorris Buick GMC is ready to help you safely travel Montana's scenic roads in comfort and style. Stop by DeMorris today and test drive some outstanding SUVs. Right now, take advantage of closeout pricing on the exceptionally designed 2024 Buick Envision with models starting at $39,795. Don't miss this opportunity. Go to DeMorris.com to preview our inventory of 2024 Buick Envisions and then pay a visit to DeMorris Buick GMC on West Broadway in Missoula, your family-owned hometown dealership for over 60 years.
Life's about the journey, not the destination, right? Why can't it be about both?
Broadcasters Association.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
The transfer portal kept churning over the last week, particularly in women's hoops. I'm Jeff Safford. Over the weekend, Braden Gunlock declared she will transfer to the Montana State Bobcats. The 6-foot wing from Big Fork spent last season as a sparingly used freshman at BYU. She averaged 1.5 points a game for the 26-win Cougars. During her standout high school career, Gunlock led the Valkyries to the Class B state championship as a junior in 2023, earning state tournament MVP honors along the way. As a senior, she helped Big Fork transition to Class A, leading the team to a runner-up finish at the state tournament. She averaged 18 points and 10 boards per game her senior year, helping her earn numerous D1 offers. Paige Lofing, another of the top basketball players from Montana, entered the transfer portal last week. The Huntley Project grad spent last season as a freshman at Gonzaga. The 5'9" point guard averaged 2.2 points per game. During her prolific high school career, she averaged more than 25 points per game 2 years in a row, leading Huntley Project to its first ever girls state basketball title in 2025. Drea Wacker, a Melstone product who played in 19 minutes a game last season for the Lady Grizz, is staying in the Big Sky. She declared she is transferring to Weber State. She averaged 4.9 points and 3.2 rebounds per game last season.
Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
Welcome back. Welcome to that ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Colter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Grizzly Disposal has one bin recycling. They'll pick it up for you at your house twice a month. You want to make the switch, add the service, or both. Visit grizzlydisposal.com or call 406-541-7171. Grizzly Disposal, the only Bears that should be in your garbage. Missing in the first hour of the show, we talked Rory McIlroy back-to-back at the Masters. We also talked some Grizz spring ball. We also talked some Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods. That's all available on the Nuanez Now podcast, which is available on all your various podcast hosting platforms. Please rate, review, subscribe. Couple news briefs for you out of the weekend before we get into some more impressions from the Grizz spring football game. In-state recruiting battle is absolutely raging right now. I wonder if it's a symptom or a side effect. What's the right word here? If this is just a circumstance of the fact that Bobby Kennedy knows that he's on a one-year contract, so he's trying to. One of the main priorities that he stated when he took over as the head coach of the Grizz is to be super competitive in the in-state recruiting battle. Well, he certainly has. He's landed a whole bunch of players from Montana that have verbaled right out the gates here. He's got 6 verbal commitments right now, including 5 of them from in-state. But the Cats have swung back pretty hard in the last 10 days or so. The first wave for Bobby Kennedy included Eli Kasberg, Quincy King, and Sam Sermon, all from Missoula. Kasberg and King are from Big Sky, and Sermon's from Sentinel. Then you got Cooper Pelk from Glacier, who's a long-rangey receiver, and then Drew Almquist, who's why they consider the top recruit in the state of Montana. All 5 of those guys in the boat for Montana. Last couple weeks, though, you've had several different commitments for Montana State. First of all, you had Dax Yeager last week. We talked about that one a little bit. Then over the weekend, a couple more. Dax Yeager's from Shoto. He is 6'5", 230-pound athlete that a lot of people are really high on. He's a tight end, defensive end type. His brother is also a great athlete. He's a 6'5", 180-pound receiver who's also Class B state high jump champ and great basketball player. Dax has committed to Montana State. Rush has an offer from Montana State, and a lot of people think that the Cats have an inside track on him, but he's yet to commit. But then the Cats got 2 more commitments over the weekend. Leighton Erickson, who plays at Malta but hails from Seiko. He's a 6'4" tight end, DN type of body. And then yesterday, Cade Lebrand from Laurel commits to Montana State. Lebrand, another one of the top 10 athletes in the state of Montana. He's a 6'4", 240-pound offensive and defensive lineman. Got a great frame. Why they consider the top offensive line prospect in the state of Montana. So that's 4 overall verbal commitments for the Cats. 5 overall, including 3 from in-state. So the Grizz have 6 and 5 of them from Montana. Cats have 5 and 3 of them are from Montana. The reason I'm saying it's absolutely on fire is this is earlier commitments than I've ever been really accustomed to. Usually you start seeing this stuff in May at the earliest, but mostly like June. Because a lot of times these guys come, they go to junior day in April or like usually around March or April on campus at both schools. Then, they're usually doing their track seasons. And then, June rolls around, they start going to the individual camps. A lot of times that's when the recruitment really ratchets up or like the offer is made. Well, the offers are getting out there quicker. I think that Bobby Kennedy really was probably putting pressure is probably the wrong way to phrase it, but I think he was probably pretty adamant if he had guys that were interested. Hey, let's commit. Let's put it out there to try to sort of boost his reputation as a recruiter. So it's just been really fascinating to watch because the Grizz certainly had a big tidal wave at the beginning. The Cats now have fought back and gotten 3 guys that are 3 of the biggest, like the truly actually biggest prospects in the state. They're all 6'5", so that certainly is something to build on, no doubt. It's just going to be really interesting to see what happens in this recruiting battle between now and when they sign in December. There's so much that's going to go into it. So we'll keep you up to date with what's going on in the wide world of recruiting here as the world turns on Nuanez Now. Talked about the kicking game. Thought Joe Silver was awesome during the Grizz spring game on Friday. He nailed both of his field goals, a 49-yarder and a 53-yarder. I think, barring some unforeseen circumstances, I think that he certainly put his name on the top of the list at the number 1 spot at kicker headed into next fall. Some other guys that really flashed to me. Hashim Jones. He is the only player, to my knowledge, to ever come to the Grizz from Connecticut. So that's certainly interesting. Our guy Samuel Akim interviewed Hashim after the spring game. Going to see if we can implement at least some of that interview into my weekly segment with Sammy on Wednesday. Jones came in as a highly regarded player. I mean, he averaged 12.5 yards per carry his senior year of high school, rushed for 2,092 yards and 26 touchdowns as a senior, was 3-time All-State type of guy in Hartford, Connecticut. He's put together. I mean, they list him at 6 feet 208. I think he's taller than that. I think he's 6'1", and I mean he is a nice player. Eli Gilman was out for this scrimmage, so Jones got to be sort of the feature for the Maroon team. He didn't get a crazy amount of carries, but he looked really good. He's smooth. He sort of glides in and out of his cuts. He can finish runs. I'm really high on him. I think he's a really good player. I think that, of course, you want your All-American. You want your, the guy that's going to be your all-time leading rusher. If things go according to plan, Eli Gilman's going to go down as the most prolific running back in the history of the Grizz. You got to have that guy stay healthy. But if he didn't, God forbid that's not the case, but if he didn't, Montana would be just fine with Hashim Jones. I think he's a really nice player. It would impact the depth element of the room, no question. And obviously, not having one of the best players in the country is going to hurt you. There's no doubt. I just think Jones is a really good player. I think he's an up-and-comer. So that's going to be fascinating to see how much of a role he can find on the Grizz offense. Defensively, a guy that I was hoping was going to flash, that really did flash, Styles Goodman. He's a former transfer from Air Force Prep. He's a guy that's sort of a tweener. Like last year, were they going to play him at that rush linebacker spot that like Patrick O'Connell and Riley Wilson and Solomon Tuliaupupu made into their sort of their trademark spot? Is that where Goodman would have ended up as in that 3-3-5? Or would he have been an inside guy, one of those inside linebackers in the 3-3-5? I'm not sure. Now he's just playing off the edge, and he's like playing like the buck end spot. I think it's a great fit for him. He's got a lot of pop. He gets out the ball hard. He's aggressive. He's really, really physical. I was very impressed. If he can just put on even just a little bit more weight. Right now he's sitting at 6'2", 235. So he's got a good frame, good body. He runs really well. But I think that one more step, and he's a great player. Like he was a 3-star guy coming out of high school. So he's got some pedigree to him. I just think it's a move where I think he can, if he's like that buck end type of guy, I think he's going to give people problems next. He's got good length. He plays really hard. He was certainly the guy that flashed to me. He was tough to block on Friday, and I think that could be a really good thing for the Grizz defense. Well, it's now ESPN Radio. Other guys that's really my top 10 guys that flashed to me. There's two of them. Another guy, Finn Ridgway. I think a lot of people knew that he was a great athlete coming out of high school, but then people had a hard time projecting, like, what is he going to play? Is he a safety? Is he a linebacker? Is he a receiver? Is he a running back? Well, out of necessity, they moved him to running back. By the way, he made a little foray. He was a quarterback at Whitefish High School. That's why he was a little bit of a tweener, because he was like a running quarterback, right? He rushed for over 1,900 yards and 32 touchdowns in his career, but he also threw for 6,200 yards and 52 more touchdowns. So he was a good Class A quarterback. Total all up, 8,164 yards and 86 touchdowns during his high school career. Rushed for 1,318 during his senior year. But he was also an all-state player in the defensive backfield. Well, he went to Minnesota State Mankato, or maybe Moorhead. It was Minnesota State something. It just says MSUM on his UM bio. It was a Minnesota State, either Mankato or Moorhead, one of the two that starts with an M. Minnesota State Moorhead, excuse me, as I scroll up, and it actually gives it to me right here in plain sight. Well, the Grizz were down to 3 running backs on Friday because Tommy Running Rabbit from Browning High School is no longer with the team. He wrote on his Facebook page today that he is stepping away from football to concentrate on academics. He wants to be a pharmacist. And then Talon Reynolds, the Missoula Loyola product, he is also still no longer on the team. Don't know what the story is with that. So on Friday, they basically had Gilman, who didn't suit up, Monty Gilman, his little brother, who's played the position for all of the spring ball, and that's it. Chase Cook from Red Lodge, Hashim Jones, Dylan Payne from Washington State, and Finn Ridgway. So I guess five guys that were available. But Ridgway really made some waves. I thought he looked really good. Between the tackles, outside the tackles, catching the ball out of the backfield. You heard Bobby Kennedy gush about him there. I mean, Bobby Kennedy said he thinks he's a guy that could be sort of like a poor man's Michael Wortham. That's pretty big praise. Michael Wortham was an All-American last year. I don't know if Ridgway's going to get there right away, but I thought he was really a guy that showed versatility, and you got to love when a guy that's a Montana guy, that's sort of a tweener, finds his spot and starts to thrive, and that's exactly what Ridgway did. Another guy that really flashed to me, and you heard Bobby Kennedy talking about him as well, Legend Lyons. He's a transfer from Minnesota. He probably had the most spectacular touchdown of the spring game. A lot of times you see these receiver transfers, right, that are, from these prestigious high schools like Charter Oak. That's where Legend Lyons is from. And you see the measurables, the pure raw athleticism, the natural gifts. And then you wonder, okay, well, why hasn't it worked out for these guys yet? Corbin Hendricks for the Grizz is sort of in that mold too. Like, okay, you're a 4-star out of high school. You go to Arizona State. You can't find your footing whatsoever. Same deal with like Lanyata Alexander. He's a guy that he's the best receiver in the state of Washington. Number one prospect in the state. Goes to Washington, doesn't work out. Goes to Arizona State, doesn't work out. Goes to Montana State. Looks like it's going to work out, but then he can't find his way out on the field because of a variety of different circumstances. And then he bails and he goes to Idaho. He's still just sort of this enigmatic, mercurial guy that really hasn't made the impact that you would have expected him to make given his prowess and his talent coming out of high school. So you're wondering that with Lions just because a lot of times when you see these receiver guys that drop down from the Power 4, like how are they going to fit in? Well, I think Lions has fit in great, and I think he's a really, really talented guy. If you're unfamiliar with Charter Oak, Charter Oak's produced some great players. Ian Book, the quarterback from Notre Dame, I guess like one recruiting cycle ago, a handful of years ago, he was from Charter Oak. Kevin Cassis, who was an All-American wide receiver for the Cats, he's a Charter Oak guy. Charter Oak has a lot of prestige. Dominic Farrar has been the coach there for a long time, and he's done a great job of making, like a true pipeline type of school. Well, Lyon was a really good player there for Farrar. He caught 55 passes for 879 yards and 12 touchdowns his senior year after having a 74-catch, 950-yard season his junior year. He was a consensus three-star prospect, the number 96 receiver in the country coming out of high school, number 51 player in the state of California. Went to Minnesota, redshirted, didn't see any action. Boom, in the portal. Boom. Expected to be a big-time player. He's got a relatively interesting bio. He's cousins with Russell Westbrook, so that one's pretty hard to miss if you don't know who that is. Well, he was a NBA Most Valuable Player and multiple-time scoring champion, career record for most triple-doubles. If you don't know who Russell Westbrook is, I can't help you. But pretty cool that they're cousins, and I think Legend Lyon is a guy that could be a really good player for the Grizz. On the defensive side, some guys that I gave you one in Styles Goodman, but a couple other guys that have really stood out on Friday during the spring game, I thought. Braden Orlandi, who's the transfer from Carroll. You heard Eric Sanders, the defensive coordinator for the Grizz, say this on the show last week. But he said he thought Orlandi would smack somebody during the spring game. You could tell he likes to hit. He definitely comes downhill. He's a guy, again, who transferred from Carroll College. He was an NAIA All-American a year ago. He's a junior, so he'll have 2 years left to play for the Grizz. Coming out of Carroll, he had offers from Wyoming, Central Michigan, South Dakota State, Tennessee Tech, South Dakota, Stony Brook, Idaho State, Eastern Kentucky, and Bryant. So certainly a very highly recruited guy. But I think he's a good get. I think he'll be squarely in the mix. He can run. He's got good size at 6'1", 205 pounds. And he's a guy that I think is going to be an impact player right away. Another guy that was playing safety up with some of the top mixing and matching. Again, I thought the maroon offensive line was the number one offensive line. The white offensive line was the number two offensive line. But they mixed and matched personnel quite a bit otherwise. Like I thought a lot of the linebackers on the maroon were maybe the front runners there. But like in the back end, there was a ton of mixing and matching. Like Orlandi, for example, was wearing white. Adama Fall, the Arizona State transfer, was wearing maroon. But I thought he looked really good as well. You can tell why he was a three-star recruit coming out of high school. He's big. He can certainly run. He had probably the highlight hit of the scrimmage, or at least one of them. And I think both those guys, Orlandi and Fall, are going to be squarely in the mix with that group of other safeties that are sort of the veteran guys. That's one of my biggest questions for this Grizz football team. Is a guy like Cade Cutler, who's been in the program, a guy like Tanner Huff, who's been in the program, a guy like Cade Boyd, who's been in the program, are those three guys, they've all been in the mix, but they've been sort of depth guys behind some headliners like Micah Harper. Well, can those guys become headliners? And can they hold off guys like Adama Fall and Braden Orlandi? It's a huge question for the Grizz. Let's hear from Tanner Huff, one of those stalwart Montanans expected to be an anchor on the back end for the University of Montana.
A lot of fun. Finished out our spring ball. We had a lot of improvement. Coming out here as a defensive team and playing together.
defense has a lot of new guys, but a lot of guys at your position that are returners. So, like, how much does that help you, and then how much are you guys trying to lead the way?
It helps a ton, especially like with this transition, just keeping the culture and tradition alive, making sure everyone's in line, and just showing them the ways.
You've been a part of quite a few of these. What does success look like on a day like this, and did you hit those marks today?
I think just playing defense, playing clean, and going out and doing your assignment. We're going to watch it in on film, and that's how you determine the success of it, but there's huge improvement here today.
The last couple of months has been kind of a whirlwind, right? You know, coaching change and then spring ball and winter conditioning. Tanner, just how would you describe the last couple of months and just kind of where the team is currently at right now?
I'd describe it as we took it head on. I mean, there was change, but no one batted an eye. There's a reason why no one left, for a reason. We love BK, we love the whole entire staff, and we're here, so.
10,000-foot view, just your thoughts on spring ball, how it went, and as these guys mentioned, you know, some new faces on the defensive side. What was it like assimilating some of these guys with this group?
Yeah, just like getting new guys, like showing them the culture and like getting to know them. But I think we meshed very well together right at the beginning, and that helped a ton with the transition as well. And then learning a new defense, new scheme, getting dialed in on what they expect and what they want, like small things too, that were different from the last coaching staff.
It's the first time.
Oh yeah, just all around. I think we did a great job of tackling that head on.
It's the first time you've seen this new scheme in front of a bunch of fans. Just how have you seen the progress of the unit kind of learning all this stuff as the spring's going on?
Yeah, I think we got a lot more confidence in doing it. I mean, first day of spring ball, you could tell like we were learning it, but we weren't hitting stride right away. And now I think we're full stride and ready to go for the season. Well, not right now, but once the season starts, we'll be ready to go full stride.
What are the biggest differences that you notice in the defense?
I mean, I don't really notice that much of a difference. I mean, we're still attacking the football, pursuing, and just playing Montana football. So.
Ridgway was a guy that was in your position group, and then BK said a week ago he made the switch to running back. Just your thoughts on watching him on the other side make some moves, and obviously he did that in high school, but what was it like watching him kind of go off tonight?
It was awesome seeing him do that, especially with the change just like a couple weeks ago and coming out here and doing his thing. And that's a huge confidence booster. I mean, you get moved to position, you're going to be a little hesitant at the beginning, but I think he's taking it great, and he has a whole great bunch of mentors. And Eli Gilman, that's one of the best ones to learn from. So.
What was it like seeing Sam Merriman run back that pick six?
That was awesome. I loved it. And we hit our goal on turnovers today, and that was a huge help. So.
Well, certainly one of the highlights for the defense. Sam Merriman, a former walk-on linebacker, redshirt freshman out of Washington State. He's from the state of Washington, I should say. He never had affiliation with Washington State. He's walked on the Grizz last year, got invited to fall, walked under the spring, got invited back to fall camp, and now here he is, a redshirt freshman this spring. He's wearing number 50, and he had a pick six. So that was certainly a highlight moment for the Grizz. He was the next guy up on my list. So I think that who's going to. I think we know who the linebackers are going to be for the Grizz as the headliners, right? Peyton Wing, Clay Oven, Solomon Tuliapupu. Tuliapupu didn't play, Wing and Oven did. I think the next who's going to fit into that mix. Justin Eklund was another one of the guys that was on my top 10. He's the transfer from Bowling Green. I thought his physical measurables and his explosiveness, like his just pure size and athleticism, really stood out. I don't know why. He looked. How do you say this? In his recruiting pictures, he didn't look physically as formidable as he does in person. So I think he's going to be a guy there that's going to contribute. The Mose kid from Georgetown is also probably going to be in the mix there. He did not flash as much to me as Eklund did. And then maybe who else? Like, is Merriman a guy that can be in that mix? We'll see. Another guy that landed in my top 10 is Spencer Tripp. He's a walk-on from Big Sky. He goes 5'11", 265. I have no idea if he's going to be in the mix at D-tackle or not, but he got a ton of reps for the white team, which I think more than anything is a testament to the fact that he's getting an opportunity because there's some guys in front of him that are out. Braden Bailey, Hayden Hanks, those guys did not play in this. So I think that good job by Tripp for embracing the opportunity. But I also think that it's pretty clear Montana's going to probably have to go get some guys at that spot. But in the meantime, why not get the young guys some reps? And I thought he looked good. I mean, he came in as nobody knew what side of the ball he was going to play. Then they thought maybe he was going to be a center. But, I mean, the fact that he was getting reps in this game, again, I have no idea like where he's going to fit into the mix. And I think you probably almost certainly have to out-recruit that guy for this year, right? But at least he showed that, he deserves to be out there, and he can certainly make some waves moving forward. And the final guy in my top 10 is Reese Brooks. I'm always unsure about these guys that transfer from schools that are in the Big Sky where they don't really have a ton of production. Like when Josh Gale transfers from UC Davis last year, the big tight end, that makes sense to me because the guy was the man. Then he got hurt and he got replaced by a guy who became an All-American. So he basically got Wally pipped. Lou Gehrig stepped into his spot and took his job. Like the guy that took his job was never going to give it back unless he got hurt. So Gale was sort of on the outside looking in. But he had been super productive. He'd been an all-Big Sky player at UC Davis. So I was not skeptical if he could come be a good player at Montana. And he was before he got hurt. When you got a guy like Reese Brooks, and the guy only played in 3 games last year, he only caught 1 pass for Cal Poly, you wonder, was that guy, like, if he's not playing, at Cal Poly, how is he going to play at Montana? But then all of a sudden, maybe the opportunity's different. Maybe the offense is different. Maybe the personnel around him is different. I thought Brooks looked really good. He's 6'4", 240 pounds. He had a great high school career. He hails from Round Rock, Texas, which produces a ton of Division I talent. He had 10 touchdowns and 7 interceptions his senior year. Also was a standout in basketball and track. And he got recruited by Cal Poly, NAU, and Montana coming out of high school. And now here he is as a redshirt freshman for the Grizz. I think he is a guy that could certainly fit into the mix. Him, Titus Rohrer, Danny Sermon, I think those 3 are probably the top 3 tight ends coming out of spring headed into the fall. Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio. I thought the receivers, I mean, it's crazy for all the ebbs and flows and strengths and weaknesses Montana's had over the last 10 years. Like sometimes they've been good at quarterback, sometimes they've been great at quarterback, sometimes they've left something to be desired at quarterback. Sometimes they've been good, sometimes they've been below average on the offensive line. Sometimes they've been good on the defensive line and below average on the defensive line. They've hardly ever been great on either of the lines the last 10 years. They've been great at receiver. The Grizz have been great at receiver for 30 years. I think that's a product of the fact you can get great players, because who doesn't want to catch touchdowns at Washington Grizzly Stadium? But I also think that the styles that they've played, it hasn't really mattered. Like even when they were running pro style with Mick Delaney as the head coach, they still had great players like Ellis Henderson and Jamal Jones. Then they go to the Bob Stitt 4 wide. That brings them all sorts of great players like our guy Sammy Kim and Keenan Curran was recruited by the previous staff, but he thrived in that offense. Who else? Of course, Samari Torre, record setter in that offense. And then you transition to Bobby Alk, and even then, so many great receivers, whether it's Junior Bergen or Michael Wortham or Sammy, who played his senior year for Coach Alk. Mitch Roberts, they've had a bunch of great receivers recently, too. So they've always had really, really good receivers. Ian Finch is a guy that sort of waited his turn in the receivers room. Last year, the Grizz had Michael Wortham, of course, but also Brooks Davis as a breakout freshman. Thought Drew Deck had a really good senior year a year ago. Well, 2 of those guys are gone, and Ian Finch is getting a little bit more of an opportunity in the offense. He's a Hellgate product from Missoula. Here's his thoughts after the Grizz spring game on Friday.
Ian, just your thoughts on the game today and just kind of wrapping up spring ball with his performance today.
Yeah, I thought it was a good end to spring ball. I thought that the game had its ups and downs. Obviously, there's a lot of things that we can work on, but, I thought there was a lot of bright spots within the game as well.
You guys, just with how the whirlwind of the last couple of weeks has been, just what's it been like? Just obviously coaching change, now spring ball, and kind of getting set for fall. Just what has it been like from the players' perspective?
Yeah, I think obviously those first 2 weeks of the coaching change was, there's a little bit of uncertainty there. But as spring ball progressed, I think, we felt more united as a team, and there wasn't as much confusion around what was happening within the program. And I think we're at a really good spot right now.
What did you think of the young quarterbacks today?
The young quarterbacks?
Yeah, just all 3 of the guys that played quarterback today.
Yeah, man. I thought they did great today. They haven't had as much experience as some of the other guys, but I thought they did great today. I thought they have matured thoroughly throughout spring ball, and I think the future looks pretty good.
When we talked to you at the beginning of spring, you wanted to kind of work on the receiving aspect of things and not just blocking. How do you feel like that's kind of progressed through spring for yourself? And then also there's a lot of yards after catch from all you guys today.
Yeah, I think that it's progressed. Obviously, I got a lot to work on still. I still love blocking, but the receiving part's also fun. But I think I'm happy with where I'm at, but I'm liking where I'm going.
Monty was with you in the receiving room over the years. What do you think he brings to that running back position, and what was it like seeing him out there today?
Yeah, man, he's just a burst of speed. He's unpredictable, and he's just fast twitch. I think he's a great addition to the running back room, and I think the fact that his brother is the best running back in the FCS, he can get a lot of tips and tricks out of that kid too.
Finn Ridgway just making the transition to offense as well. BK kind of described him as a utility player. Just what do you like about what he's been able to add to the offense too?
Yeah, man. I always knew that Finn was super athletic. He kind of just was waiting for his opportunity, and he got it at running back. And I'm super excited for him and to see what he's going to be able to do. But he's a great receiving back. He's a power back. And as he learns the offense more, I think he's going to show you guys what he's got.
A lot of guys on offense are back from last year. Like offensive line will see some new faces. But what's it like when you have a quarterback, a leading receiver, and a running back that kind of leads that group? Like just what's that cohesion been like, which seems different than defense a little bit?
Yeah, I think, just having that chemistry, knowing where guys are going to be at on offense, I think that really, really helps. And it also helps the young guys that are coming along as well. They get a nice view of what needs to happen and what's expected of you. And I think that really helps.
Hashim Jones picked up a bunch of the slack today. How much confidence do you guys have in him?
Yeah, man, I got total confidence in Hashim. He's amazing. I don't know how he gets to top speed at the -1 yard line, but he does it, and he's a beast.
How has it been working the tight ends into this offense when you have to replace so many guys from last year?
Yeah, I think, we had a lot of new tight ends. And, tight end in our offense is kind of a difficult position to learn, but they're coming along nicely, and they've got a lot of ability to receive the ball, and, we got some great blockers as well. I think that they're going to fit in really, really well.
Ian Finch, Missoula Hellgate product here on Nuanez Now. We're up against it. Take a break. Come back. Keep on talking Grizz football. I got 12 more players that caught my eye. We'll also talk some Montana State Spring Rodeo and some more Masters as well. That's next. Keep it right here. 129 ESPN Radio.
What do you expect me to say to her? She's getting married in 30 minutes.
We're doing everything we can.
John, can you hear me? John.
At Shields, we're anglers, endlessly seeking and refining techniques. We're hunters and storytellers, because we've been out there. We're experts that put products and gear to the test, so we can share that knowledge with you. At Shields, we understand your outdoor journey and the path you're on, because we walk it too, every step of the way. Shields, right there with you.
Mountain Town Vacation Rental Management, your local partner for vacation rental success. We provide a fully customized hosting experience tailored to your needs and goals. Your home is listed on every major site, helping you maximize visibility and bookings. And our local team is available 24/7 to handle guest needs and booking inquiries. Let us take the stress out of managing your vacation home. Contact us today at mountaintownvrm.com or give us a call at 406-369-3080.
The rare moments in life, they're not just few and far between. They're meant to be treasured.
Bring the whole family to the Stone of Accord for a wonderful brunch. From traditional comfort food to eclectic specials, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And it wouldn't be a proper Missoula brunch without an Irish coffee and a mimosa. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino. At the Stone of Accord, we use the freshest ingredients to create our homemade traditional Irish classics, fresh salads, and creative specials. Come enjoy our warm, family-friendly atmosphere. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino.
Transfer portal kept churning over the last week, particularly in women's hoops. I'm Jeff Safford. Over the weekend, Braden Gunlock declared she will transfer to the Montana State Bobcats. The 6-foot wing from Big Fork spent last season as a sparingly used freshman at BYU. She averaged 1.5 points a game for the 26-win Cougars. During her standout high school career, Gunlock led the Valkyries to the Class B state championship as a junior in 2023, earning state tournament MVP honors along the way. As a senior, she helped Big Fork transition to Class A, leading the team to a runner-up finish at the state tournament. She averaged 18 points and 10 boards per game her senior year, helping her earn numerous D1 offers. Paige Lofing, another of the top basketball players from Montana, entered the transfer portal last week. The Huntley Project grad spent last season as a freshman at Gonzaga. The 5'9" point guard averaged 2.2 points per game. During her prolific high school career, she averaged more than 25 points per game 2 years in a row, leading Huntley Project to its first ever girls state basketball title in 2025. Drea Wacker, a Melstone product who played in 19 minutes a game last season for the Lady Grizz, is staying in the Big Sky. She declared she is transferring to Weber State. She averaged 4.9 points and 3.2 rebounds per game last season.
It's Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
Dominant by the Montana State women rodeo team, that is, during the MSU Spring Rodeo this past weekend. Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. From Coulter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Grizzly Disposal, locally owned and veteran-owned, the only Bears that should be in your garbage. MSU women won all 6 individual events. So this is 2 rodeos in the span of 4 days with slack and short go and long go and all that stuff. So MSU women won all 6 individual events in 2 different rodeos, took both all-around titles, and won the team championship at both rodeos. The one that ended on Sunday, MSU outdistanced MSU Northern 770 to 240. That's a pretty good beatdown. Faith Marshall, who joined us on the show last week, won the all-around title for both rodeos on the women's side. Cole Gerhardt won the all-around title of Rodeo 1 for the MSU men, and Taj Wells won all-around belt buckle for Rodeo number 1 for the MSU men. They also saw Haven Wolstein win the short go and the average in the breakaway roping Sunday, matching her championship in that event in Rodeo 1. Bobcat sophomore Annalise McCurry doubled up in the barrel racing. Faith Marshall and Michaela McCormick tied for the goat tying title after McCormick captured Friday's title. They owned the top 5 spots in the goat tying. Pretty darn impressive. Taya Yeomans was on the case. She is a Montana State volleyball player and an aspiring broadcaster who helped cover this rodeo for us. Here's just a couple minutes with Taya on what went down in Bozeman this weekend.
It is Taya Yeomans back here after the final day of the MSU Spring Rodeo, and it was an electric weekend. Over 16,000 fans packed in the break throughout the 4 days of competition, and they brought energy every single day. The athletes were loving the energy, and the athletes performed so incredibly well. We had a great time here. In the bareback, Coy Montgomery out of Montana Western. He was 69 last night, 76 tonight, and he's your overall bareback winner. In the steer wrestling, Justice Peterson for the Ore Diggers. He was 5'8" today, and he's your overall winner. In the goats, Michaela McCormack. Today, in today's goat, she was 6'6", but then she tied with Faith Marshall for the overall winner in the goats. In the team roping, MSU Northern Cowboys on the head side, Talon Cummins, and on the heel side, Chance Three Irons. They were 6'3" today in the go-round. In the saddle bronc, Cardell Lowry out of Montana Western. He's your go-round winner and overall winner today. He had a 70-point ride today. In the breakaway from Helena, she's a Helena Cowgirl, and now she's with the Cats. Haven Wolstein, 2 yesterday, 2.9 today. In the tie down, he's your region president, Jake Devereaux. Overall, tie down with a combination score of 9.1 yesterday and 11.8 today. In the barrels, she's just getting started this spring, Annalise McCurry for MSU. She's taken home the buckle today in the barrels. And finally, for the bulls, the Canadian Cowboy. We talked to him yesterday, Holden Atkinson. He's your bull winner, and he is 78 yesterday, 87 today, and he's taking home that buckle. Thank you so much for joining us throughout the MSU Spring Rodeo. Taya Yeomans, I had a great time with you guys. Hunter, she's behind the camera, and go Cats.
Great job by those young ladies for helping out with all that. Again, students at Montana State, and just wanted an opportunity. So I said, yeah, let's see what you can do. And I was pleasantly surprised. Good job. Good job by them. Nuanez Now 129 ESPN Radio. Keep on talking Grizz football on the other side. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here.
Bring the whole family to the Stone of Accord for a wonderful brunch. From traditional comfort food to eclectic specials, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And it wouldn't be a proper Missoula brunch without an Irish coffee and a mimosa. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino. At the Stone of Accord, we use the freshest ingredients to create our homemade traditional Irish classics, fresh salads, and creative specials. Come enjoy our warm, family-friendly atmosphere. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino.
Access to Montana's great backyard is the best part of being a Grizzly. At the University of Montana, our classrooms are the mountain peaks, river valleys, and never-ending plains of the Big Sky Country. We provide students with the hands-on training to protect and enjoy hunting, conservation, and stewardship. launches the careers of outdoor leaders so that they can protect our traditions and ensure they are passed down for future generations. Because what's made in Montana is remaking the world.
Why would any business let you use their product and give you 365 days of reassurance? Mattress Firm does because they believe in their mattresses. Save on top brands like Nectar, Tempur-Pedic, Beautyrest, Serta, Stearns & Foster, and others. Mattress Firm carries $149 mattresses all the way up to the luxury Purple Rejuvenate Premier. 0% in payments as low as $39 a month, along with 365 days of reassurance. See why Mattress Firm is Montana's best place to find the sleep you deserve.
Mattress Firm, where it's easy to get a great night's sleep.
102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
Welcome back. 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Colter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal studio. Grizzly Disposal has construction roll-off boxes for you. They can get them to you fast. Don't wait days or even weeks. Get them within 24 hours. Call 406-541-7171. Grizzly Disposal, locally owned, veteran-owned, and the only Bears that should be in your garbage. A couple more thoughts to get to when it comes to Grizz football. If you're missing the show, it's been a heavy theme of the show. We've talked to Bobby Kennedy and Lucas Freitas, offensive lineman for the Grizz, Ian Finch, wide receiver, and Tanner Huff, safety. Also gave you my top 10 guys that flashed. We talked some special teams. Here's some other guys that just quickly stood out to me. Didn't get a crazy evaluation on these guys, but certainly noticed them. Tyler King, Central Washington transfer defensive lineman. He's got the size. He's definitely got the size to play at the D1 level. He's 6'5", 250. Physically, he looked really good. Cooper Buffington, kid out of Iowa, who came in as sort of a tweener DN, D-tackle type. He was playing primarily on the inside, well, actually exclusively on the inside. He's only 252 pounds, but I actually kind of like that at the FCS level. Obviously, you got to have the strength to be able to get by, but I think if you can be athletic on the inside, especially if you're running a four-man front, you got active linebackers, I think you can get away with being 265, 270. If Buffington's one of the guys this year, I think that Montana would be in trouble, but I think he's a guy that could grow into it. If he gets to 265, 270, now you're cooking with some gas. I think that's what Jake Mason's probably going to fit in at, right? He was playing between 245 and 255 last year, but I think he's more like a 265 type of body, the former Washington transfer. I think once he gets back to I don't know what's going on with him. I didn't see much of him though on Friday, but I think that those guys can contribute. Zeke Samalo is a guy who's undersized at D-tackle, but he actually did contribute last year. I thought he was actually at times one of the better defensive tackles the Grizz played last year. That's with him playing a true nose last year. Now he gets to play a little bit more of a D-tackle type, and I think that could fit him as well. And he's a guy that certainly flashed too. Jelani Davis is a kid who came to Montana as a safety transfer from Utah. He played corner on Friday. I thought he looked good. He had a pick. I thought his footwork looked good. He ran really well. He's still young too. He's only a sophomore, but I think he's got good athleticism, and I think he could be in the mix to contribute at corner. I think that he's a good athlete. And when he transferred from Utah, I wondered if he would make an impact last year. He played on special teams, but he did not play a ton for the Grizz. But I think he's a guy that maybe could have an elevated role now as a sophomore with a fresh start, new coaches, all that sort of stuff. Cash Gokachia is a guy I've been wondering about, because he was a great player in high school up at Glacier High in Kalispell. His father, Sean, was an awesome player for the Grizz on the 95 National Championship team. His uncle was also on that 95 team. So they got family lineage. Gokachia was a tremendous player at Glacier, and he's sort of just been waiting his turn. Well, he was playing a lot of nickel for the white team, and I thought he looked good. I thought he looked physical at the point of attack, good footwork. I think the corners and the nickels looked like they're just being put in a better position to actually be able to achieve, not having to play on an island so much like they were in the 3-3-5. So I think that's a good thing. I thought Brock and Brady Beaner both looked really good physically as well. Those guys, Brady played a little bit last year, but they were highly regarded recruits coming out of Western Washington. So I think those guys certainly should have an elevated role. I think they'll be good players for Montana as things continue to progress. Corbin Hendricks is got it all, man. He's got all the physical tools. Number 14 receiver, former transfer from Arizona State. He flashed last year. I mean, he had a couple of the plays of the year. He had that one-handed catch in the end zone. We have like an iconic picture of it. I don't want to overstate it, but it was one of the photos of the year, no question, and there's one of the catches of the year as well. I thought Hendricks' catch and Drew Deck's catch were probably the two best catches of last season for the Grizz football team. And then you factor in that Hendricks is 6'3", 200 pounds. I mean, he runs like the wind. Again, he was the number 62 receiver prospect in the country coming out of high school, 4-star guy. So, where does he fit in? What's the next step for him? Well, if he could take the next step and actually solidify consistency, he's an all-conference level talent for sure. I just don't know if he's there yet, but in terms of size, how smooth he is, his explosiveness, he's a special type of athlete for the FCS level. He's just got to get it locked in. Ashton Payne, safety transfer from South Dakota. I thought he looked pretty good, but he looks big. That's the number one. That was my note. This says 21. Ashton Payne, big. So maybe he's the guy that fits into that safety mix because that's certainly another key spot that Montana's trying to search for answers at. And then I thought Dylan Payne, the Washington State running back, I thought he had good burst as well. I thought he showed pretty good vision. How many running backs does Montana play? You got Gilman. I think you for sure know you have Hasheem Jones. I think after this spring game, you got to find somewhere to get at least a few touches for Finn Ridgway. And I think Dylan Payne proved that he's a guy that belongs to be out there too. So can you find touches and snaps for the three guys behind Gilman, or is it just Jones and then the next two guys are waiting to see if either one of those two headliners get banged up? I'm not sure. Then the last guy I wrote down was Taylor Jones. He's a walk-on from Loyola. Been sort of waiting his turn as well. But he's put on some weight. He's up to about 210 pounds. I think he runs well. I thought he showed some flashes. He was one of those guys where, like, him and Spencer Tripp are two guys as walk-ons from Missoula where you watch them in high school and they're really good players, but then you wonder, like, how are they good enough to play for the Grizz? Like, is it going to translate? Can they hang athletically on the field? I think after this spring, both those guys prove that they can. They've earned their spot on the team, and they've earned their spot to compete for time on the depth chart. And that's the first step if you're like a young, redshirt freshman type walk-on from Missoula. So certainly I think those guys made some waves. As I mentioned, but notably out, Kaylee Ayat, Eli Gilman. Cameron Guernsey's out. He's going to miss next season. He tore his Achilles. Luke Flowers is out. He hit his hand on a helmet during practice, so he'll be fine. He just had to have a tiny surgery. And then Solomon Tuliapupu, I don't know what he has. Probably just being a ninth-year senior. Doesn't need very many more spring ball reps. He was also in street clothes. So there you go. A massive 2-hour recap all about the Grizz spring game with some Masters and some rodeo sprinkled in. Tomorrow we'll have some Grizz tennis for you and whatever else we might be able to get to. Maybe some Grizz rugby. And probably some updates on the prep world and the recruiting world. We'll see you at 4 p.m. then. This has been Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio.